the Dallas Cowboys have been praised that they have won the springtime Super Bowl. Now that's not actually the real Super Bowl, so what do you think is left on the Cowboys to-do list?
We do make fun of teams when they say, you know, we're a dream team, and we're the you know, these things that people say in June and July and August.
Yeah.
But now that the Cowboys have done it, the Cowboys Nation is a little more accepting of the idea that, listen, you went out and made moves that made sense,
yeah,
filled holes,
yep,
didn't kill your cap.
Everyone says A+.
Didn't kill your draft. Yeah, there's no. They are universally getting a good grade.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys are, and good for them. I do think that a little bit of this has been stretching out the credit card, something that this organization under Stephen Jones mostly has been reluctant to do for the last decade.
Yeah.
But they did stretch out the credit card a little bit here, which I just think you need to do. And I use the comparison just like your household, Bree, or mine. There's certain different ways to pay for the things you need. You might not have cash to buy a car, so what do you do with it? Well, you put it on credit. I can't afford a new refrigerator right now, but if my refrigerator breaks,
gotta have one.
I'm not going out without a refrigerator.
Right.
And so whether it's your cash, your checkbook, or your credit card, just like in your household budget, that's how the Cowboys and other NFL teams can operate.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys have wisely, I think, chosen to keep most of it still fit in the pie,
yeah,
but have a little bit of the pie slopping over into future pie years.
Yep. Wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has agreed to a one-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, that contract is pretty big, and I'm also wondering, do you feel like he knows something about Lamar Jackson and his contract that we don't know?
Yeah, first of all, from a perspective league-wide, there are other teams that were certainly interested.
Yeah.
I don't know that anybody else, Bills, Patriots, obviously not the Cowboys, were interested in giving him $15 million guaranteed.
Right, yeah.
That is, I think that's the number 9 highest guaranteed wide receiver money in the NFL. And he hasn't played at a high level since 2019, and I'm not doing that to diss him. Good for him.
Right.
Him and his circle was able to get the Ravens to give him $15 million when he hadn't played in 2 years. Congratulations. And if you're a Ravens fan or a Ravens follower, and maybe even Bree, if you're a football fan, it would be fun to see this work.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially
with Lamar.
No question. And we talked about this and wrote about this on Ravens SI the moment that it happened that Beckham signed with them. And let's call it educated speculation. We wrote that 100% Odell wouldn't have signed that contract if he didn't think that Lamar was going to be his quarterback. And 100% Lamar was in on understanding, not they're getting Odell, we're getting Odell. And now it's come out, of course, they did
they vacationed in Miami together.
They hung out and they did FaceTime and they visited, and so they were on the same page. So this is a really good thing for Baltimore.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's circumstance is bad for Baltimore. It's bad for the Ravens.
Right.
It's bad for Lamar. It's bad for football. Odell Beckham Jr., though, might serve as a lure, and I think will serve as a lure to speed up the process of Lamar coming home.
Texas running back Bijan Robinson was working out with Micah Parsons. Now, what do we make of this? Because, of course, there's a lot of people that are going to jump to conclusions for this one.
I have my go-to line on this, and again, Twitter can be such a cesspool with everybody wanting to be a smart aleck. And I'll give you a great example of this. Let's go to Atlanta.
Okay.
And if you'll allow me to expand a little bit. So 2 days ago, we wrote that Jeff Oduka, the defensive back, cornerback of the Lions, who a couple years ago was the number 3 overall pick in the draft, was on the trade block. And we broke down how it might work. We broke down specifically how it might work with the Rams.
Yeah.
But we certainly suggested strongly that Jeff Oduka he's going to be traded before the draft. And on Twitter, @FishSports, there's only 3 slappies allowed.
Yeah.
And we didn't even hit our limit. 2 guys came at me. This is clickbait. This is stupid. This will never happen.
Yeah.
If you're going to come at the king, what's the saying? You best. What is the saying?
I don't know the saying.
Richie, what's the saying? If you're going to come at the king, you best not miss. If you're going to come at the 75-member staff,
that's a good one for me.
if you're going to come after the 75-member staff, you best not miss, especially when you're ripping us because we're right. The Falcons get Oduka, just like we predicted somebody might, and they get him on the cheap. That's a 5th round pick to go get a guy who 3 years ago was the 3rd overall pick in the draft. Okay. Now, to your specific question, which was what again?
Bijan Robinson working out with Micah Parsons. What do we make of this?
Now, I'm going to use the same strategy because you're right. The insta reaction for 3 people on Twitter is always, oh, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Micah's working out with Bijan. It doesn't matter that Ezekiel Elliott is working out with Jamar Chase. Both, by the way, somewhere in the vicinity of where we stand right here. And what does that mean? What's the big deal? I'll tell you what it means. It means that Bijan is working out with Micah and Jamar is working out with Zeke. That's what it means. You can take from it whatever you want. We're not suggesting that all of a sudden that means Jamar Chase is coming to the Cowboys.
Or they're best friends or anything else.
We're just telling you, listen, think of it, whether it's journalistically or think of it as storytelling, okay? As we stand here right now, if Roger Staubach came walking by,
which he might,
and we go, hey, there's Roger Staubach, we're not saying that means Roger Staubach is going to be hired as the general manager of the Cowboys. We're just saying, hey, hi, there's Roger Staubach. To quote Bill Parcells, who probably stole this from a coach before him, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Let's get to running back Ezekiel Elliott. What are you hearing about Zeke and potential landing spots, and where do you think might make sense for him?
The Jets are already saying, we like our room. So there went that idea. The Eagles are saying, we like our room. So there went that idea. And by the way, those were apparently 2 of Zeke's ideas that Adam Schefter at ESPN misappropriated, misunderstood, misreported, because Schefter reported that Zeke's choices were down to 3 teams, that he was going to choose between those 3. And those 3 teams are going, we don't know what you're talking about. So it was a Zeke wish list at best. But Cincinnati was also on it. And maybe Zeke knew this going in, maybe he didn't. But their backup running back is gone. The guy that filled in for Joe Mixon last year, he signs with Denver because he assumed that Mixon would be in charge. But Mixon's in trouble. And if you know his history at University of Oklahoma, there's always been a little bit of a troubling cloud hanging around him. Well, now there's some sort of neighborhood gunplay, and Joe Mixon's sister says he didn't do it, and then they arrest the sister, allegedly, I think, thinking that she did it because she was telling the truth for a moment there. Oh, no, Joe didn't do it. Yeah, sis, that's because you did it. But now the police are saying, no, let's take another look at Joe. So there's some baggage there. And so you add all those things up. What did Joe Mixon do among the many fine things that he does as a running back? It was a short yardage carrying machine last year. When they got inside the 4-yard line, they gave it to him 4 times, all the time. And he had 6 touchdowns in one game as a result of it. Well, what does Ezekiel Elliott do indisputably well? He'll 3rd and goal, he scores. He had 12 touchdowns last year. I think the Bengals and Zeke are a really good match. There's also a buzz about the Broncos and Zeke, and we'll keep our eyes on that as well.
Let's talk about quarterback Dak Prescott for a quick second. There hasn't been much about him so far this offseason. What's the latest with him? And I'm almost feeling like we should call him like Dak No Drama Prescott because he stays out of the headlines. He
does a good job of it, and the Joneses have done a good job trying to say not very much because there's just not much to be gained by negotiating in the media. It turns nasty. Ask Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. It turned nasty. Maybe it's turning back around. To look at another right way that it's done, look at what's going on with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Everybody is saying peaches and cream. And they refuse to say any more than peaches and cream. Now, we can get to the point where Jalen, where they're offering him 45 and he wants 50, and we'll see what happens then. As it relates to Dak, we're going to be in a race here. If I'm the Cowboys and the Eagles, both those guys are about ready to jump, in Dak's case, from 40 to 45, 50. In Jalen Hurts' case, from nothing to 45 or 50. The team that gets that done sooner will get it done cheaper. So in a lot of ways, the Eagles are in a race with the Cowboys on the field, and publicity and attention and marketing and Super Bowl, all of it. But
and
they
the
are all
fans.
And the fans.